Spanish verbs. Let's be honest. For so many of us, that's where things get tricky, right? But what if I told you there was a simple code to crack the entire system? Well, in this explainer, we're going to give you that key. We're going to turn all that confusion into confidence.
You know that feeling, right? Where you know all the right words, but when you try to string them together in a sentence, it just doesn't flow? It is such a common hurdle, but it's one we're about to clear right now.
Okay, so the first clue, the first big secret to making this all way simpler is getting a handle on what we call compound tenses. Don't worry about the name. It's just a simple, repeatable formula that's your key to talking about anything that's happened in the past.
And what does that even mean? Well, it's actually just a fancy way of saying it's a two-part verb. You just take a little helper verb, haber, which is kind of like to have, and then you add the main verb, but in a special form called the past participle. This is our foundational recipe.
So here's the formula, and it's super straightforward. Step 1, you just pick the right form of haber for who you're talking about. And step 2, you tack on that past participle, which usually just means changing the verb ending to ado or ido. Now, here's the best part. That second verb, it basically never changes. And that's what makes this formula so incredibly powerful.
Let's look at this in action. It makes so much more sense when you see it. Take the verb hablar, to speak. See how it doesn't matter if you're saying he hablado for I have spoken or han hablado for they have spoken. That second part, hablado, it stays exactly the same. The only piece that moves is that little helper verb, haber.
Okay, so knowing when something happened, that's awesome. That's half the battle for sure. But to really sound fluent, we've got to go a layer deeper. Because in Spanish, your perspective is everything. It's not just what you say, but how you feel about it.
And that's what brings us to this idea of mood. And no, we're not talking about being happy or sad. In grammar, mood is all about your attitude toward what you're saying. Are you just stating a plain old fact, or are you expressing something a bit more personal?
So think of it like this. There's this big split, a fork in the road. On one path, you've got the indicative mood. This is like your news report mood. It's for facts, certainties, objective reality. But on the other path, you've got the subjunctive, and that covers pretty much everything else. Your wishes, emotions, doubts, your subjective world.
All right, now this is where we get to the aha moment. Seriously, forget all those boring grammar rules for a second. We're going to use a little trick, a secret weapon, really, that will completely change how you think about which mood to use. So let's meet our two guides, Spock and Weirdo. Yep, you heard that right. Think of it like this. Spock, just like the character, is all about logic, facts, and certainty. He's your guy for the indicative mood. And Weirdo? Well, he covers everything emotional, uncertain, and subjective. He's your guide for the subjunctive. So when do you use this indicative mood? Simple. You just think Spock. If you're talking about speech, perceptions, occurrences, certainty, or knowledge, you're in his world. You're stating something you believe is a fact. Check this out. A perfect example right here. The phrase, yo sé que, I know that, that's the K for knowledge in Spock. It expresses certainty, so the verb that comes after it, es, is in the indicative. Simple as that. It's a statement of fact from your point of view. Okay, so that's the logical side. Now let's flip the coin and talk about weirdo. If your sentence has anything to do with the stuff in this acronym, wishes, emotions, impersonal expressions, recommendations, doubt, or ojalá, which just means I hope, you've officially left the world of facts and you've entered the subjunctive zone. Like this one, yo deseo que, or I wish that. That's a classic weirdo trigger, right? It's the W for wishes. I mean, it's not a fact that you're going to have a good day. It's just my hope. And that subjectivity is what triggers that subjunctive form, tengas. Okay, you ready for the really cool part? Let's see how just one tiny word can flip the entire mood of a sentence, and the grammar right along with it. From Spock's world to Weirdo's world, just like that. This is where you can really see the magic. When you say creo que, I believe that, you're expressing certainty. That's Spock. So you use the indicative, es. But watch this. The second you add that little word no creo que, you've just introduced doubt. And that's the D from weirdo, which means the verb has to flip to the subjunctive, sea. How cool is that? So, what does this all mean? What's the big takeaway here? How do you actually use this stuff? Well, think of it like you've just been given a new grammar compass to navigate your way through any sentence. This is it. This is your new compass.
From now on, whenever you're building a sentence in Spanish, you just have to ask yourself two simple questions. First, when did it happen? That's your tense. And second, is it a fact or a feeling? That's your mood. And for that second question, you just have to think, is this a job for Spock or is this a job for Weirdo?
And that's really it. That's the fundamental choice you get to make every time you speak. Are you stating a fact, using the cold, hard logic of Spock? Or are you expressing an emotion with all the nuance of Weirdo? The maze is gone. Now it's a choice, and you've got the tools to make it.